January 1, 1994. That was when NAFTA became ratified. I don't think anybody realized how quick jobs would leave this country. And I mean, within 2 years, I laid off 80+ people. And that was typical of people in the apparel business. I mean, it was devastating. Nobody saw how fast it would happen.
Everybody was either in the hosiery industry or the furniture industry. So those two industries supported most of Burke County.
When you look at our region, we were at 50% of people were employed in manufacturing. Okay, that's like 10 times the national average. Now it's still, even with all the cutbacks and everything, we lost about 44,000 jobs between 2000 and 2008.
And everybody says, well, we need to go get company X or company Y. I said, no, that's what broke us in the first place. The solution lies within the community which you live in. I'm Eric Henry, president of TS Designs. We've been in business now for 38 years. But I mean, when you're a small business like ours, you wear a lot of hats. We got like 24 employees, so being president means you still have to clean the bathrooms. You know, we were a screen printing company. We were used to shirts coming in here, we put a print, shirts go out. There was a time where a typical Nike contract would be 20 or 30,000 pieces. Looking back at that date of January 1, 1994, that's when business and the consumer realized how much money they could make taking advantage of unsustainable cheap labor.
The textile industry actually moved before furniture did, so a lot of people started losing their jobs when everything went overseas. But now it's coming back.
I think it's important that if we're going to bring textiles back to our community, we do it in a different way. Clients that are coming in know that if they're working with the Carolina Textile District, they're going to be working with producers and manufacturers that are committed to providing good quality jobs. And they're also companies that are committed to being environmentally and socially responsible.
The industry did leave because it was chasing a bottom line that was based on cheap labor. And I think cheap labor is ultimately unfair, wherever it is, whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else. And seeing that, I started asking, this question, is there a different way? Is there a way for the workers themselves to actually own the plants? So it was kind of this interesting marriage of the immigrant community coming with a lot of textile and sewing knowledge, and then this opportunity opening up of creating a worker-owned space. And I think, quite honestly, those folks were driven to say, yes, let's do something differently, and let's try to create a workspace that looks different.
You know, Molly does cut and sew apparel. She makes these products. That's something we don't do. So what we want to do is build a network of companies so we can manage those programs, satisfy the needs of the customers, and keep the business here.
So we are that piece in the supply chain or in the value chain where we actually take fabric that you see sitting behind me, and we cut it and we sew it into different things. We are contract cut and sew, so most of things that are going out the door, we're sewing someone else's name or someone else's brand into it.
Yo veo que hay una diferencia de la cooperativa, hay diferencia de la otra compañía, no cambia la otra compañía, no. Yo creo que no, pero aquí hay diferencia, hay veces que la otro lugar que no más trabajan y si el trabajo se bajan y se despiden, entonces allí, pero aquí para mí más mejor, yo veo que yo cambio mi vida también aquí, me da mucho gusto para aquí.
When I was in school, I did quite a bit of study in Latin America, which I think that was where many of the seeds were planted for me of alternative economic models. Often so much this conversation, it's about, people that are often in marginalized situations being brought up and given opportunities, and I think that is the story. I think what we're seeing is people moving outside of the margins, you know. So moving to more economic stability because they're making more, because that work is stable. And then we are intentional about helping people also have things like financial literacy, open savings accounts, open banking accounts if they don't have those. We actually, a couple weeks ago, had a whole class on home ownership with the Self-Help Credit Union. So it's not just about creating wealth, it's about, well, what do you do with that, and how does that support your family, and how is that driven back into your community?
I think it's important when you're growing anything like this from the ground up that you really do think through your assets. For us, textiles and furniture, it's who we are and it's what we've always been. And so it makes sense, you know, if you've already got a competitive advantage as a community to utilize that.
Manufacturers working together, that is totally against their culture initially. And getting some of these old time guys who have the knowledge to work collaboratively is not an easy task.
A lot of it was Dan kind of picking up the phone and saying, I got this call and it's this many, you know, products at this time, and can you do this work? And it was very informal, but there was something to it that was working and that made sense. And that's where the Textile District was formed, to bring clients in and then more efficiently connect them to the producers on the ground that can make their products.
So as we like to say, we go dirt to shirt. We do it in 600 miles. We impact 500 jobs, but the coolest and the neatest thing we do it with a completely transparent supply chain. We connect the consumer all the way back to the farmer. We've got this system that we developed with contrasting color thread, but you take these colors and you go to another website, where, W-H-E-R-E, yourclothing.com. You put it in blue, you put in yellow, up pops a map. I will introduce you to the farmer, the ginner, the spinner, the knitter, the finisher, the cut sew, and TSNs. I give you a picture, a phone number, a physical address, and email. We make our supply chain completely transparent. That's one of the reasons we did Cotton Carolina. I want to connect with the people.
An idea like the Carolina Textile District, like a value chain, I think it kind of gave us a sense of hope that there is something that we can do to grow locally owned businesses. And this was something that we saw, and it was just, for me, like a light bulb went off that there is a way that we can support these locally owned companies and scalable businesses and help them grow and stay here in Burke County.
It started with entrepreneurs wanting to come back to the U.S. Then it was smaller boutiques, and now, guys, whomever, the largest corporations are calling, looking for made in USA product, which was great. That was a good problem. But then we had been telling kids for the last 20 years, hey guys, you don't want to be in manufacturing. It's the last place you want to be. In fact, staff looked at us, what are we going to tell these eighth graders? I don't know, we're going to tell them something, because we got to change it right away. And that was 2013. Since then, we've had about 4,000 kids come through. And it's not just us, they go to other plants and everything. It's the program that we tied into. And it's been just really, really good. And it has fundamentally changed in this region.
There is a lot of pride in being craftsmen and artisans in this generation, but we have to change the way that manufacturing is done. And that's again where it's important, like what Molly's doing, to make it a completely different work environment and something that people of a younger generation can get excited about and can be passionate about.
I think it's about creating networks where other people can use this example and band together. And I don't think that means we have to throw anybody out. I think there's a place for all of us in this. So I think we have to care for space and care for place so that it can hold another generation of people that see themselves growing, and not just growing here and being here, but like thriving here. Thriving, I think, is an important word for rural communities to claim.